Hey guys, what's going on? If you're new here, welcome. My name is BrittanyNichole, and today we are doing YouTube makeup versus reality. So I wanted to do this video for quite a while because I grew up doing natural bridal makeup. With that said, when you do bridal makeup, you have to make it a little bit stronger than if it was your like everyday makeup, because there's cameras and there's lights typically when you're getting married that you need to account for photography. But on YouTube, there's just a huge trend of really full coverage makeup and lots of concealer all over the face and lots of powder everywhere. And that in person just doesn't typically translate well. It typically looks like you have a mask on and it just doesn't look good throughout the day. It kind of breaks down. But in front of studio lights like I have on right now and in front of a camera, that looks beautiful. It just typically doesn't look as good in real life. So I want to show you half of my face in that style and like the typical YouTuber makeup style. I will say there has been a little bit of a shift in that to more like natural makeup, a little bit lighter, a little less foundation, a little less concealer, but there's still a lot of people out there, a lot of people who are showing, you know, a full beat. And I'm going to show you on the other side how I suggest doing your makeup so it comes across in person a little more, or I should say a little less cakey and a little more natural, but it's still good coverage. You'll still feel comfortable and like you're covered. We're not going to do the eyes at all today. Well, we'll put on a difference in lashes so I could show you that, but if I did the eyes, that would be like a whole nother 45 minutes of a video, so I could do that in the next installation. This is gonna be more on like skin, blush, bronzer, powder, etc. So this is in no way a knock at any YouTubers who are out there doing their full beat. Whatever works for you works for you. If that works in your everyday, absolutely stick with that. This is just some suggestions if you do find yourself doing that YouTube style and it just looks a little heavy in person and it doesn't stay throughout the day. So if you are interested in seeing this video, go ahead and keep watching. All right, you guys, so we are starting out with primer here on the YouTube side, which is gonna be this side for me. I'm gonna go in with 2 primers because that's typically what you see here on YouTube. And a lot of people are very obsessed with this e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. It's a dupe, so people say. I've never had the Tatcha, but for the Tatcha Poreless primer, so I'm gonna apply that all over my face like you see a lot of people do. Now, for me, if I was gonna use this, I would just target this on the areas where I have more visible pores. So for me, that's this area right here. That's pretty much the only place I would target this. I would not put this all over the face. I would just kind of put that there. This isn't my favorite, so I don't use it really ever. And then I would go in with more of like a hydrating primer on the rest of my face. But for the sake of this video in YouTube style, I'm going to apply this all over the face. And then on the other side, which is the more natural side that I would typically do, I am going to use my First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Hyaluronic Hydrating Primer. This is just more of a lotion consistency. It plumps the skin and it can really be used all over the face. I'm not gonna conceal any of like the pore area because for me that tends to just look too matte and then it gets cakey. But if you do have more visible pores and a primer does work, like if the e.l.f. works all over your face, definitely do that. I would just kind of err on the side of caution with that and only apply where you have more pores. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. So I'm just taking like a pea-size amount of the First Aid Beauty. That is actually probably a little bit too much. I'm used to doing this all over my face. And I'm gonna just apply this on this side. You can already see how that's giving my skin a little bit of a glow, which looks beautiful. And then on the other side, I'm gonna go ahead and take the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer and I'm gonna apply that all over. And I let my primer, so I let my skincare sink in about 30 minutes before I did this video. That's what I like. And then I like to let my primer sit in for about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and let these sink in for about 15 minutes. All right, you guys, so it's been about 15 minutes. So this is the hydrating side. And again, this is the poreless side. So you can see the difference. There is a little bit more hydration through this. It's also warm and I'm a little hot and sweaty. So there's a little bit of dew everywhere for that reason. But let's go ahead and go in with foundation. So on the more natural side, I'm gonna stick with my L'Oreal Infallible fresh wear. I love this, and I don't use a lot of it. I just really cover where necessary. So mainly the inner parts of my face, and then right here where I have redness. And then on the other side, I'm gonna take my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. The colors might not match, but we're gonna have to just deal with it. I think the Born This Way might be a little too pink on me and light, but we'll see as we go. I have a couple colors I can mix together, and I'm gonna apply this all over the face. I'm not just gonna target where necessary, I'm just gonna apply it all over. So let's go ahead and start with the L'Oreal side. I'm gonna just take that on a brush. This is a Sigma Flat Kabuki F80. And like I said, I'm gonna take a little bit at a time and really just kind of target where necessary. And this is such a nice foundation. See, that's even a little bit too much. That might cover everything I need right now. So I'm gonna start with this, and then I'll smooth over it with my little AOA beauty sponge. And like I said, I'm just gonna tap over that before it dries down with my beauty sponge to pick up any excess. That was just about half a pump, if even, of the L'Oreal. And that's all I wanted. You could still see some of the redness coming through, and it still looks natural, but I look evened out, and that's my goal with foundation. I just went ahead and put my hair up because it's in the way of absolutely everything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take the Too Faced, and I'm gonna apply that all over the face, and I'm just gonna use a sponge with this. Now I know that everybody does this differently, but I find that a lot of people steer away from brushes and just go in with the beauty blender because it made such a huge impact when it hit the market, and people just love it. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do here. I'm only gonna use the beauty sponge, and I am going to really cover my entire face. Now, keep in mind, there are people out there who will need full coverage and will want to do this on a daily basis. And that is absolutely fine. I'm just showing you guys for my skin. I have pretty good skin. I take really good care of it. So I just don't feel the need. And as I've gotten older, I've just gotten a lot more comfortable in my own skin. I just don't feel the need to do this. And there's a lot of people on YouTube who have really nice skin, and they still go in and just kind of cake it on, and it's just not necessary on a daily basis. So I just look like a ghost right now on this side of my face. All right, you guys, so that is half of the face of the Too Faced Born This Way, really caked on. That's just one layer. I know that a lot of people go in and they'll layer up right here, but we're gonna go in with concealer next and see if we need to do that. I don't think I need to do that, even though I'm kind of emphasizing what happens with YouTube. I'm just gonna go in on my more natural side with my absolute favorite concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in Pearl, and I'm just gonna go in really lightly with that. So I'll just take that much, very, very minimal. Because this is full coverage, you really don't need a lot. I really like the finish of this. I would rather go in with more of a full coverage concealer really lightly than go in with a light coverage concealer and have to build it up. So I'm just gonna take that and blend that out. You can see how nice that looks. It looks natural, and this will not get cakey throughout the day since there's not a lot of excess product. I do not like blending under my eyes with a brush. I find a lot of people do that, and it just doesn't work out for me. I much prefer my little beauty blender. So now I just look a little bit brightened, a little bit more awake. You could see on this side, the darkness is just peeking through a little bit more. So on this side, I'm gonna use the CoverGirl True Blend. This is their new concealer. This is in Fair. I tried this, and it's like an exact dupe in my opinion for the Tarte Shape Tape, and I just don't like that. It's too matte, it's too full coverage, and I'm gonna do this like we see on YouTube. You'll see I only concealed under my eyes. I didn't conceal here, I didn't conceal down the nose, I didn't conceal up here. I don't have any blemishes that need concealing right now. That would be the only thing I would go in and do, and I wouldn't do it with this color because this is a little bit bright for me. I've been kind of playing with brightness, and I like how that looks right now. It's not 4 shades too light, just a little bit brighter to bring some lightness into the face. If I was gonna spot conceal, I would grab a darker color for that. But on this side, this is many shades too light for me. And I'm gonna show you exactly what you see a lot of folks do here. So we do that little triangle thing like that. It's gonna be difficult down the nose. Now concealer never looks good down my nose, but I'll just show you on like one side, and usually it's like a strip. There's gonna be a lot of product if I do that. On the chin, and then we see this a lot. And I used to do this all the time. If you go back in my videos, you'll see that I just kind of followed and did this when it was popular, and then I just kind of, you know, became a little more comfortable with like less foundation and all that stuff and realized it looked so much better. I was just kind of following the motion. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend that out. You'll see how that just kind of highlights the chin and almost makes it look like I have a butt chin. And then the same thing here. Oh, I forgot one spot too that people often do, this and this. I understand the thought to like bring this forward, but not my favorite. It's gonna be all over my lips too. And this, so this is basically when I see this, like a lot of times I see this on videos where it's like, I do my makeup without wearing foundation, but then they take concealer and do this, and I'm just like, what? Like, you're caking your face in concealer though, so it's really no different. There's so much product. I want to like blend it on the back of my hand here, but I'm just gonna go with it. Okay, so this is what we are looking like with the full coverage cake side and then the more natural side. So I do think that on this side it is a little too light, and you can see it on camera. I look a little bit ghostly, but we're gonna bronze up to fix that, and that's like often what people do anyway. So I am gonna cream contour today. This is the Maybelline Fit Me. I'm not gonna cream contour on the side that I would wear every day because I would never do that. I am gonna do it on this side though before I set the concealer. So I'm just gonna take that, like that, and like that, and then down the sides of the nose, and then like that, and then I'm gonna do this whole like Scott Barnes Tati thing, like that, and then like that. So looking good. So I'm just gonna take, I don't wanna take a sponge for that. I'm gonna take a brush to blend this out. I'll just go in with this Sigma brush. This is a Sigma angle foundation brush. So I'll start here, and I think this just kind of looks like you have a 5 o'clock shadow. Okay, so this is the cream contour side, and like, yes, you could see I do look a little more sculpted than on this side, but going on with bronzer for me just does the same thing on this side and looks a lot more natural. So I'm gonna make sure that my under eyes are blended out on both sides, and then we're gonna go in and set. So I'm using the Laura Mercier translucent powder, which a lot of people use. I use this on my day-to-day basis for the most part as well. So I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush on my more natural side, which is what I would do. I haven't been doing that with a beauty blender lately just because I think it applies too much product. I do prefer a little brush. So I'm gonna make sure all of my little creases that have formed, so I let the creases form, that's another thing, before I go in and set. So I'm gonna go ahead and look up and make sure all of those are blended out, and just with the most tiny little dot of powder, like I dipped in just a tiny bit, and then I make sure to brush off all of the excess. I'm gonna look up and set that lightly and just under the eyes. That's the only place I wanna set. Sometimes I'll set the upper lid as well, but I haven't been doing that lately. And then on the full cake side, we are going to take our beauty blender. We're definitely gonna make sure that we blend out those creases as well. And we're just gonna take our beauty blender and absolutely set our entire face. Actually, you know what? We're gonna bake like most of the people do. So I'm gonna apply a whole bunch of powder here. It's gonna get all over my shirt. It is all over my shirt, my black shirt, so you'll probably see that. And then I see we bake here a lot. And then people do this. I think they do this like after they bronze, but Let's just do it now. And then there. So we've almost done our entire face now. So I'm gonna let this sit. It feels so tight. Oh my goodness, it feels so tight. Okay, so while that bakes on this side, I'm gonna bronze. I'm using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi. This is like my favorite bronzer. It's really nice and natural. It looks really, really good. It's not super shimmery. I love it. I'm just gonna take that on this really fluffy Japanese brush. This is the 716. And I'm just gonna bronze like I normally would. So I'm not like contouring. I'm just lightly bringing a little bit of life back into the face. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of this ColourPop Super Shock Cheek. This is in Stop It. I know this looks intimidating on camera, and if you go in with a lot, it can be, but you just need the teensiest, tiniest, little amount. I'm using a Sigma Practic. I should stop saying Sigma. It is Sigma's sister brand, but it's Practic Bronzer Contour. And I'm really lightly just gonna dust into that, work off any excess on the back of my hand, and then go ahead and add this mostly on the apple, and then I just kind of work back any excess just like that. Sometimes I'll take it across the nose, but I'm not going to do that. And then stepping back into the foundation brush that I used, this is the Sigma, again, F80. Because we didn't set anything, I can go in and go right over, and it works over the powders just fine because I didn't go in and like cake the powders. And there's just a tiny bit of extra like foundation from when we blended it on the face on there. And I just work right over those edges so you can't tell like where the blush and bronzer stop. It just looks a little more natural. And I'm doing this with my foundation brush rather than powder, so it looks natural. This needs to go, thank you. And then just with my bronzer brush, with whatever is left, whenever I'm saying brush and blush at the same time, I always confuse them. I just kind of rub that along the edges, not like sculpting in any way, just kind of rubbing it on. And then I know a lot of people will leave this bake on for like, while they do their eyebrow. You know what, maybe we'll do that. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll get our eyebrows on, leave that bake on. And the whole theory behind baking is that your skin is gonna absorb all the powder, and then it won't absorb anything that you need to wipe away, which is why you let it sit and then, you know, brush it off. And that works well if you're performing on a stage, but in everyday life, we're not doing that typically. So let's go ahead and do our brows. So on my natural side, I'm just gonna use my Anastasia brow powder. Where are you? There we go. So I'm gonna grab my Anastasia brow powder and a brow brush, and I'm just gonna lightly fill where necessary, and then I'll set it up with my Benefit 24-hour brow set. And then on the other side, we're really gonna like sculpt our brows out with the NYX Tame Frame, and then take a concealer and then like frame it out. I cannot stand this powder. This is really hard. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna fast forward it because this takes way too long. Okay, so here is my more natural brow, and then here is the brow done with only pomade, and then I cleaned it up with concealer like most people do. I don't know if I did that right. I am really trying to make this work. I don't like how that looks personally, but you know, I did what I could. So now let's go ahead and set this. This is the Essence Make Me Brow. Now I know a lot of people use the Anastasia brow set and brow pomade, but I don't have those, so I'm just using what I have. But a lot of people use this as well because it's supposed to be a good dupe. So I'm just gonna run these through. All right, I really don't like how that looks, but let's go ahead and wipe this bake away. So this is just a Sigma Tapered Kabuki, and I'm gonna wipe away, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bronze up this side of the face because it just looks super uneven. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Hoola, which a lot of people use. Oops, it just kind of spilled everywhere. A lot of people on YouTube used to use this. I feel like bronzers are something that's kind of always changing, but this can also work as kind of a contour. So I'm gonna kind of do both of that, and I'm just gonna use this Real Techniques brush for this. And I think that Hoola is quite a bit too warm. on me. I know it's like known for being a cool color, but it just comes off kind of orangey on my skin, unfortunately. So I'm going to try to go in minimally and contour bronze. And then on just a fluffy brush, I'm just going to take Hoola as well and contour that nose even further. Oh my God, my lips. Ugh. I'm just going to wipe a little of that foundation off my lips. All right, so now on this side of the face, I'm going to set even further because I find people do that a lot. So I'm gonna take a powder foundation. This is the Aquassurance from JCat. This is in the shade Ivory. And I find that a lot of people take this or the Makeup Forever, and they pack this on top of the already full coverage foundation they have on. So I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush here. This is just a Real Techniques. And then this is what I'll kind of use to clean that up. Okay, so on camera, I feel like that looks really pretty. On the more natural side, doesn't look quite as flawless, but trust me, in person, this looks a lot cakier than this side. So let's go in and highlight. I'm going to use the same highlight on both sides. This is just the Ofra Nikki Tutorials highlighting trio. I'm going to go in with this one on both sides. So I'm just going to grab a highlighting brush. This is just a Morphe M510. And on my more natural side, I'm only going to apply a little bit of highlight. So I'm not going to go in really crazy, and I'm just going to kind of target where I want. So right on the high points of the cheek, up to the brow, and then with whatever's left, I'm going to dip a little bit. Put that right here, and a little on the Cupid's bow here. And then I usually take it right there in the center, but we'll focus the nose on the other side. And then I always take my sponge and I touch right over that. So you see how natural that looks? It just kind of looks like I'm glowing from within. I'm going to take my Anastasia A23, same powder, and I'm going to highlight like we see a lot of people do on here. So we're going to go like all the way down the cheek. Looks like I have glass skin. And then I see people do it up like this. I prefer to take it into the brow bone, but I'm going to take it above. And then I see a lot of times on the chin, which in real life looks quite greasy. Same thing, Cupid's bow. Same thing up here, a little heavier though. I'm just going to take this Sigma E56, and I'm going to apply that in basically an exclamation point down the nose. So I don't know how people do this in such a straight line, because I don't. I really want to blend that with my beauty blender, but yeah, I got to, you guys. I have to blend that a little bit. That's like too stark, and I don't think people would actually leave it that stark. And then with this same thing, I'm going to apply it on the inner corner on both sides. Okay, and like I said, we're not going to do anything to the lids, so I'm just going to blend out the creases, and then I'm just going to take this Aquassurance, the same foundation, and set this side. Because, you know, we had to apply the concealer all the way down. And then I'm just going to blend out the excess on my more natural side. Okay, I took my hair back down since we're pretty much done with the face. We have the more natural side here, and then the YouTube side here, which looks really pretty on camera, but like I said, in person, not so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and set both sides of the face. So on one side of my face, the more natural side, I'm just going to take my Skindinavia makeup finishing spray, and I'm just going to give myself a couple of spritzes of that. And then on the heavier side, I'm going to take my Catrice illuminating setting spray, and I'm going to apply like crazy on this side. So if you guys didn't know what the Catrice was, it just has this like fine shimmer, and I really like it, but you need to make sure you don't go overboard so you don't look crazy. Okay, so this is what we are looking like. Here is the more natural side, and then here is the YouTube side. even looking at this on camera, like the YouTube side looks better because I'm looking at it through my iPad, which is coming off through the camera. So it always looks a little bit better on camera, but in person, the more natural side just looks so much better. I look very, very cakey on the YouTube side. I know it's deceiving because that highlight, but I look cakey, especially under the eyes. So I'm gonna pop off here and I'm gonna apply some lashes. On the natural side, I'm gonna use the Kiss Lash Trios. These are the most natural looking and I really like them because they're really easy to use. And then on the YouTube side, I'm gonna use the Kiss Naked Drama Chiffon. And then I'm just gonna apply some mascara. So I'm gonna apply all that off camera and I will meet you right back here. All right, you guys, lashes and liner are on. I did take a nude liner on both lower water lines and then a black liner on the upper waterline because I do that all the time and I feel like people do that a lot on here as well. I also realized I totally forgot to blush this side of the face. Hello. So I am going to take the Milani Luminoso Baked Blush. That's a very popular oldie but goodie, people still use it, blush. And I'm going to apply that on this side. Now we obviously have highlight on and we're still going in with a shimmer blush, which is typically something I wouldn't do. And I'm just taking that on this Japanese 712 and I'm gonna apply that like crazy because a lot of times people apply way too much blush on here. But again, when you're doing something on camera, it shows up a lot better if you go in a little heavier, but in real life you look blushy. And I am not gonna blend this one out with my foundation brush or my beauty blender or anything like that. So let's go ahead and do the lips now. So I am going to take a matte lipstick on the YouTube side of the face because so many people use matte lipsticks and I just think in person matte lipsticks tend to look pretty dry unless you have lip filler. And then on my more natural side, my everyday side, I'm going to use this Mineral Fusion Sheer Moisture Lip Tint because these are awesome. I'm also going to go in with a lip liner on both sides because I do go in with a lip liner on the daily basis if I'm using a lip product. This is the LA Girl Sugar and Spice. So I'll line both with that and then I'll go in and do both the lips, and it's going to look kind of funky, but bear with it. I'm gonna overline the YouTube side as well so you guys can see how that looks. All right, so here is the skin. Once again, we have the natural side and the full cake YouTube side. I'm going to go stand in front of natural light. I'm gonna stand in front of a big window, just the sunlight, so you guys can see what this looks like and how cakey it looks when you actually are not in front of studio lights. I still feel like this side in person looks a lot better. This side does look nice on camera, but let me just show you what this looks like in natural light. All right, you guys, so I just have you sitting on a windowsill. If you hear noises, George, my French bulldog, is sitting right there. There's also a busy street right there if you hear cars, and there are a ton of airplanes flying right now. So if you hear noise, that's what's going on. But now you can see in this natural light how much heavier, how much drier, how much more cake-like the YouTube side of my face looks. It looks like I just kind of drew on makeup versus the more natural side. Now you can obviously see I have makeup on, but it's more natural. I look still put together, but not like I have a mask on, and you could definitely see it in this lighting. I just look like a blank canvas on this side, and like I, you know, heavily applied makeup, but when you're in front of that studio lighting, you just can't see it. This is obviously the lighting that most people are gonna see you walking around in, and if this is your everyday makeup, this is just too heavy and just looks a little too cakey. So I think you could definitely see that here on camera in front of the natural lighting. This looks so much better than this side right here. I'm just gonna get real up close and personal with you too, so you guys can see here. So let's head back into the studio lighting to finish this video up. All right, you guys, we are back in the studio lighting just seconds after I filmed that clip, and you can see how much better the YouTube side looks once again with these lights. But the reality of it is you are not walking around with perfect studio lighting every day. You're walking around with the lighting that I just showed you in that clip. So I hope you found this video somewhat helpful if you're struggling with not understanding why your makeup looks cakey throughout the day or what's going on. Just try going in with a little less product like I did on this side, and it will make a world of a difference in your everyday life. Now, again, this is in no way meant to make fun or poke fun or bash anyone who does their makeup like this. If you do your makeup like this on an everyday basis and it works for you, that is great. This is just to help, kind of inform and help people understand why their makeup might look like that throughout the day. So I hope you found this video helpful. Originally, I was gonna try to wear this the entire day, but I have places to go and I cannot walk around like this. You guys saw what that looked like in natural light, so you're just gonna have to trust me that it does get cakey throughout the day typically. It does crease as you talk, your face moves, so things are gonna settle, and the less product you use, the less you're gonna have that issue, which is why I tend to go more towards this side of makeup. So let me know if you guys have any questions, as always, below. Otherwise, if you're interested in seeing any more videos from me, please subscribe. It means the absolute world to me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.